Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that they are requesting for more content, how to, and why don't I sort of information on, and that is really how do you rebuild yourself? How do you create a new identity? How do you quote unquote find yourself, reinvent yourself, or as the term that they use, rebuild yourself after experiencing perhaps a lifelong relationship with a narcissistic, pathologically self-absorbed individual or a psychopathic individual. Perhaps this could be a family member, a sibling, or a neighbor, someone you have at work, someone who has created a lot of negative, toxic influence in your life. And how do you really rebuild your life? How do you reinvent? How do you establish and create a new identity, a new personality, kind of a new you? And so we're going to be developing a lot of content per this viewer's request because I think a lot of you will benefit from this. As it comes from really separating yourself from this individual and their negative influence and control and power over you, sort of misguiding you or misdirecting you in your life to perhaps live by a lot of struggle, a lot of fear, a lot of self-deprivation, self-degradation, feeling less than, feeling scared, feeling paranoid, and not really kind of knowing the tools to enjoy your life, to live life as it was meant to be lived. It's like having a Maserati and only getting it in first gear. You know, you're not really experiencing life the way that it was meant to be lived. And number one tool I'm going to focus in on this video is enforcing and erecting and enforcing your energetic boundaries. And your boundaries are really kind of what you have as a protective barrier, sort of a standard with which you enter into and perceive relationships. So perhaps perceive comes first. The awareness comes first. The knowing, the awareness, the acknowledgement that there are individuals who, unbeknownst to you, will slide under the crack underneath the door. They will get in underneath your skin like a needle, like an electrode, and they will give you a jolt, a negative jolt, which will create a sort of fight or flight or fear-based, stress-based reaction to this individual. And unbeknownst to you, your body flinches and sort of gravitates towards a people-pleasing or reactive mode. So this reactivity is something that you have to stop in its tracks. You have to become aware of this reaction, this very instinctual reaction to the way that you are treated or interacted with, their dynamics, to create this immediate, very immediate subconscious reaction to this individual, which results in the enabling of that person to continue to abuse you. And so we talk about why are people constantly attracting violators and perpetrators? Why do they replay this, scene again and again and again in their life? Why are people constantly in a victim state, or why are they attracting these sort of people? Is because you do not have in place the energetic boundaries to say no. I am not going to feel this way. I am not going to relate to you in this way. This is not me. This is not my identity to be sucked in, hoovered in, vacuumed in to your sundry emotionally manipulative ways, which include the experience of, taking these snide remarks. In other words, internalizing it. There's an energetic boundary which is violated through the snub behaviors, through the negative comments, through the negative body language, that you're not good enough, that you're not worth looking, having eye contact, listening to, validating, etc., acknowledging in your very basic human being form, which is your presence. So if you sense this and you are experiencing this lack of respect, lack of acknowledgement, lack of validation, and it's really a negative, you don't feel at ease. Oftentimes it's because you're in the presence of a emotional manipulator, such as a narcissist, someone who is trying to one-up you. And really, how do you rebuild yourself? How do you declare your energetic boundaries? Well, for one, you need to acknowledge that you need energetic boundaries and exactly what these are. So we're basically, getting the initial tools. We're looking at the hammer and the nail of your self-protection and your self-preservation. For one is realizing that you have the right to not be treated this way. So, and not absorb this fear, this paranoia, this hypervigilance, this controlling energy from this person. So if you can kind of boil it down to its base, basically, kind of remove the identity, whether you're calling this your sister, your mother, your boss, your father, your spouse, whatever it is that you're calling them right now, just see it, just boil it down to its very essentials, and that is their energy. And if you can see that oftentimes this energy has served to be a very controlling influence or negative influence, or a sort of, trying to have power over you and, put a name on you, oftentimes which is in the name of them controlling you, your input, your perspective, which is negative, which is, having power over you. So you need to separate that and say, okay, this is what is going on. I'm now separating my energy from this person. Here's their energy on one pile. Here's me on another pile. We are two distinct and separate energies, i.e. people, i.e. human beings. And this pile over here, they do not define me. They do not direct the course of my attention, my feelings, and how I evaluate myself. Hitherto or previously, they might have tried that. That is the operative word, try. You need to understand that your cognitions now need to have the vocalization or the verbalization or the words to define, heal, and declare and recreate your perspective. So we're talking really fundamental basis here. And it's very powerful. And you may need to replay this again and again. This may need to soak in. So realize that this takes practice and repetition. But once you get it, you get it. It's like riding a bike. Once you know how to do it, you can do it again and again. You might have started out crawling, walking, to a tricycle, to a bike with training wheels. But once you learn how, you will begin to get the muscle memory. You'll get the emotional memory. You'll get the emotional body. And using the neuroplasticity of your brain, which is the ability to experience new emotions. So you're going to need to experience new emotions and expand your spectrum of emotions with which you feel in certain situations. So it's almost like overcoming a phobia. You've heard of people who have had a phobia of snakes. They can't stand to be around them. And every time they're around them, they get a fear. And oftentimes this is false evidence appearing real. This is just a fear that they have. So it's kind of like a gut reaction or instinct. When perhaps that snake could be harmless, it's not going to bite you, but you perhaps had been bitten before, or you've seen videos replaying, in your mind before of being bit. So you have this instinctual reaction. So it's kind of like, let's just see the snake in the cage. It's behind a glass cage. It might, make hits against the wall to try to hurt you, but you are completely safe. You are separate. You have an emotional barrier between you and that snake. And no matter what they try to do, they cannot bite you. They cannot hurt you. They are contained in their glass cage. So if you think of it like that, and begin to see these negative influences as kind of like the snake in the aquarium, or the snake in that glass box or what have you, that they might, you might hear that snake head kind of hitting against the wall, but they cannot hurt you. It is very much the same way like rebuilding yourself and declaring your energetic boundaries. It's seeing that there's going to be negative, influence. Some people call it evil. Let's just keep it non-secular. Let's just say negative, toxic influence from toxic individuals who might present with a pathology, a malignant, narcissistic, self-absorbed, or psychopathic trait where they have tried to get you, control of you by violation of your boundaries, energetically as well as physically, financially, professionally, whatever it is that they've done to violate you, let's get them out and separate from you, and let's separate you, and let's begin to work on a new feeling, a new energy within you, which begins with a deep breath, which begins to come into a calm body, and realizing that you have a focus and you have control over your emotional body, your emotional energy, the cells within you, which create your perspective, your reaction, and your identity, your I am. And so rather than being reactive at each time that person, or, let's just say the snake, we're kind of putting a name to, or a different name, a different association to this individual, each time they try to make a comment and influence, just realize that they're separate from you. They're powerless over you, because is the operative word that they're going to try. They're going to continue to use those emotionally manipulative tactics that they might have used versus the things that they say, the way that they treat you, their disrespectful body language, or lack of validation, lack of positive communication with you. And let's just say it is what it is. I'm going to allow that person to try to make the hits, the strikes, whatever it is that they do. I'm going to separate myself, and I'm going to come into a relaxed body, and I'm going to begin my I am from this peaceful, calm, mindful state. And before, I had perhaps been a victim to this, where I'd put my hand out to be bit to try to, block them. That was my defense. I'm now going to relax my defenses. I'm no longer going to put my hand up to defend myself. I'm no longer going to, flinch in fear and go into the stress, battle, the defense mechanisms that I've used. I'm no longer going to be overpowered by this person. I'm no longer going to give my identity or my energy away. I have energetic boundaries. My boundaries are around me, and I can erect and enforce them. And furthermore, from here forward, I'm going to identify all the feelings, behaviors, and thoughts and cognitions which then are as a result of that negative. So whether it's fear, whether it's self-doubt, whether it's over-obligating yourself, whether it's becoming conditioned to be an enabler to them, I'm going to cease all those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors which have been disempowering to me. I'm going to surrender those. I'm going to let them go. I'm no longer going to engage in that. But furthermore, from here forward, I'm going to come into and begin with a calm, self-contained feeling of peace and empowerment. And my words, my verbalization, my internal thoughts are now going to reflect that. So my I am is now going to come from that more calm, content, connected, congruent feeling state of self-belief and faith, which now I'm giving my body the permission to instill and live from. And I'm now going to allow my experiences in this to be permeated and be grounded and founded in this feeling and in this verbalization and in this understanding of trust, self-trust, self-validation, and I'm backing my positivity up in this, and I'm going to create a new positive cycle which generates from this feeling state. So it has to become with a feeling state, and you need to then begin to generate just like the sun would generate energy. You need to then generate, you need to find that little switch within your body to come to peace. It's an understanding, and generate the positive flow of energy, whether it's a positive tingling, a positive just feeling of being content, just having your hands on your lap, your body is at ease, your posture is humble, your posture is congruent, you're not in a kind of, reactive state where your body is always distracted by this. Your eyesight is distracted. Your hearing is distracted. So now you're resensitizing yourself in your body and then beginning to create a positive cycle and a positive I am from which to begin all those other pages with which we describe in the Recovery Journal and here on the channel. But I hope this very initial foundation and little visualization helps you to understand what is required to fully separate from the negative toxic energy from this individual who has been harmful, destructive, and really kind of thrown you awry from your life purpose and your destiny and your strength and your talents and your positive I am, and kind of building your relationships from this level, from this place, which is within you. Remember, you own it. It's your internal real estate. It's like the weeble that wobble that can't fall down. It's once you get it, once you learn to ride that bike, once you begin to create that feeling, you will have your aha moment, and you'll begin to see that your energy, your personality, your perspective is separate and distinct from the negative, toxic, pathological individual who might be in your life, who is a malignant narcissist or a sociopath, a psychopathic individual who has created an undue negative influence in your life. It is time, and you do have permission, it is okay to reinvent yourself from this positive level. And we're going to discuss the behaviors that you can now begin to instill and reprogram and condition into yourself so that you're now living from that, creating from that, and attracting relationships from that more positive foundation. It will make all the difference in the world. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos, that they do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.